established until about the 1730s, but it is the oldest city in the state of Georgia. Savanah's a really small town of only about 150,000 people, but they have one of the oldest historic districts and have retained a lot of the older homes in the downtown area of Savanah. So tourists come from all around to see the historic district with the cobblestone streets, parks, and historic buildings. They also have these park-like squares, sort of reminiscent of the European cities. It's just on a much smaller scale. But they are beautiful squares, and all have a bit of history attached to them. Even though Savanah does have a large tourist segment, its economy is driven primarily by its location. It is a coastal city, and it actually is the 4th largest seaport in the U.S.
So this is the Forsyth Fountain in the center of Savanah, and it was originally built in France, but it was kind of grotesque colors. It was purple, green and orange. So a few years ago they restored it and painted it white to make it a little bit more palatable, and they did that in commemoration of the mayor, whose name was also George Washington, coincidentally.
One of the parks here in Savanah is famous for the movie Forrest Gump, where actor Tom Hanks sits on the bench and says, "Life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get." Set here in Savanah.
Hit it with your knuckles. Doesn't sound any different. It's one of those space dogs.
It's an air root that grows all on its own onto anything it can attach itself to, which is typically other trees. And apparently people used to fill their mattresses with it for some filling back in the day, but it was full of jitterbugs, so they had fleas all night long. I was wondering why they were so itchy in the morning. It took them a while to learn that. Where to next?
You look like a mushroom, a fly agaric.
Up over there. Basilica. It's the Catholic Church.
This guy looks like Mark Fallon. That's the Church in Scotland.
Just north of Savannah and across the border, we visited Charleston, South Carolina. Very much like Savannah, it's also a port city, though a somewhat significantly smaller port, and also has a beautifully preserved historic downtown area with homes and buildings from the late 1600s. It has lots of beautiful parks and squares just like Savannah. Although Savannah was wonderful to visit, Charleston is my personal favorite as the historical area was better integrated throughout the downtown districts and is a bit older than Savannah and also has more cosmopolitan features. Though Savannah and Charleston may have seemed similar to me at first, I actually looked up the history, and Charleston is quite different from Savannah. It has a history of being a major port for incoming slaves, and nearly half of all Africans brought to America before the mid-1800s arrived in Charleston. The local economy boomed from slave labor on plantations, growing tobacco, rice, and indigo. They even had some rebellions which led to the Security Act in 1739, which required all white men to carry weapons at all times, even to church on Sundays. At its peak, slavery even eliminated the middle class, as less than 5% of the free population controlled more than half of the wealth in Charleston, and the rest held no wealth because they couldn't compete with slaves for jobs. Charleston became the fourth richest city on the eastern coast during this period. After the British banned slavery, it was harder to get them across into the U.S., so domestic slave trade boomed, and Charleston again became a center of domestic trading and had the first dedicated slave markets for domestic traders. And Charleston was also the first site of a battle for the American Civil War due to slavery as well.
Now that we'd identified the type of boat Chloe was going to be, we had to relocate ourselves over to France to coordinate with the boat builder and work out the details. So we put our car up for sale and drove up towards Washington Dulles Airport, where we sold our car and then got a flight over to Europe. It was very sad leaving our car. She had been extremely reliable and comfortable and fast over the 67,000 miles that we had owned her. But, you know, we took a positive attitude and said, well, after sailing around the world a few times, we'll get another Tesla because we just can't see ourselves going back to burning oil ever again.
Wow, hoppy. Yummy.
Please hold on. This train is
What's that spinach in your teeth?
Next stop, EVHotels. Please hold on. This train is departing.
And we're going to catch a flight to Paris through Zurich, and then we're going to spend a week in Paris just because you have to, and then we're going to go to Cherbourg to meet with the folks that are building our boat briefly and dump all this stuff, and then then we're going to go and see Charlie the cat, who's at Helen's, and we'll see Helen too probably. But mostly we're going to see Charlie the cat and Helen's Sprugs. Helen Sprugs. Well, Charlie the cat, Helen Sprugs, and Helen in that order. Sorry, Helen, but that's just the way it is.
I get you passing by.
I got the little drum. Somewhere.
Ça joue la taille de leur écran.
Everybody's speaking French.
Importantly, as we fly to Europe, we're going to come and see Willow.